What do people usually do for their 18th? A night out, a party, a trip, maybe. I jumped out of a plane. And it's crazy that I forgot this memory. Like, I'd buried it for so long, and I only remembered it last night when I was doing some reflection. So, let me tell you about the skydive itself. I didn't feel much fear until the final moment where I'm sat on the edge of the plane and I'm looking down. That's when I'm like, ah, shit, this just got real. But by that point, I was already committed, and I didn't give myself much time to think, to back out or anything. So, I just went ahead with it. The free fall was really quick. That was too quick to register. I just remember it being really hard to breathe because of the air resistance. And then the majority of it was just a calm glide down, and it was stunning. It was over views of lakes and hills. The free fall messed up my ears though, so it felt like I was underwater for 2 days. I couldn't hear properly. And I remember I was in maths class the next day, and I had to explain to my teacher that, look, I can't hear properly because I just jumped out of a plane the day before. And the guy was baffled. He was like, "You turn 18 and the first thing you do is jump out of a plane. Like, what's wrong with you?" And I didn't really have an answer to that. I just shrugged it off. I know me back then, I would have just delivered that line really calmly, like it was nothing. That was 10 years ago. I'm 28 now. And based on that story, you'd think I would be more of a risk taker, living life on the edge, that kind of thing. But I became an accountant. There's nothing wrong with accountants, we're needed in society. But I was reflecting on this story and I couldn't help feeling that I'd played things too safe over the years. And that was uncharacteristic of me. Finance degree, good job, professional qualification. But then what? 40 years of ergonomic chairs. And don't let anyone fool you, that's all it is. I never understood the fancy job titles. Whenever I saw one, I just thought, oh well, well done, you've sat in chairs for longer. I can't help but feel I was conned into giving importance to things that aren't really that important and shunning the experiences that make a good life, following a script laid out by society and their definition of success. I read that you should listen to two people in life, the 8-year-old version of you and the 80-year-old version of you. The old version of you on their deathbed regrets the things they didn't do, the experiences they didn't have, the dreams they never followed, whereas the 8-year-old version of you leads with joy and reminds you that you should be enjoying your journey along the way. If you want to live authentically, consult these two versions of yourself. Everything else is just noise and useless code. If you feel like you don't know who you are, just look back in time, before all the bullshit programming, the lies, the fears you accepted from others, and the ones that you made for yourself. The biggest myth we were sold is that we don't know anything as kids, that we're just foolish and the adults know better, we should listen to them. Who you were as a child was your most authentic self, before all the bad programming that comes later in life. Pure intuition. Without the distractions of social media and junk content. Less bullshit filters on your perception put in place by others. That programming is really hard to undo the older you get, and most never actually manage it in their lifetimes. But I've spent the past year really focused on how to do it, and I've written short guides on what I've learned. So you can study them if you want to get started on real transformation. If you ask me who I am, I'm that guy that jumped out of a plane without thinking twice about it. I'm living like him right now, he's in charge. Subscribe for the journey.